guys, so I'm going to show you how to debug using your thought process that we commented out when we started. So I mentioned, right, start with your thought process. And I'm going to use today's example that we did in lab with the bouncer example. So I commented out my thought process. Take a moment to pause the video, read through my thought process, and just familiarize yourself. So I'm going to run this code and I'm going to get an error, and I'm going to use this thought process to help me kind of figure it out. Maybe this is straightforward for some of us. I just kind of wanted to show you guys with an example. But so we see down here, my code runs initially for the first person. Enter my age, and it says that inline is referenced before assignment. So I don't really know what that means. If I look it up, it'll basically tell me that I don't have the variable to find. And in our case, it might not really help me out. So I'm going to go back to my thought process, and I'm just going to show you how to trace your code with your thoughts. So I need to get the user's age. I did that here. Great. I saw it even worked with the input when I ran my code. Okay, great. Now let's go to my second thought. Is I need to check that they're a legal drinking age. So I've grant access, and I check with the if statements. Great. Okay, and those if statements tell me if they are granted access or denied. And next up is I need to see how many people are online, and I'll see that I did that with my function num_inline. So I think what's important about this is being able to take your thought process and find in your code where you did that, right? So how I'm able to reference it. Okay, here's our issue, is we saw that the first person ran fine, so we did that, right? But then while there's still people online and you do it for everyone else, okay, well, that's where my issue is, right? I go from step 2 to 4, and I can see, oh, okay, in line, I haven't checked how many people are still in line. And that's when I'll do this, is I'll call my function that gets the number of people in line. Now, I can use this piece of my thought process to map right back in my code where I need to use it. So if I run it, and I call 34, and 56, and so on. So this is how I would use the thought process, and look at these notes. Try to get a good idea of how I write out in plain English. I'm not trying to jump to code yet, nothing too technical. I can go back and comment such like this. I can say, okay, to get info from the user, need to use input. Okay, well, to get their age, which is an integer, I need to do int input, like that. And that's how I would go back and make your thought process more technical. And I think this is a pretty effective way to debug.